So you do agree with me, though, that it's insane that the people of color are attacking and blaming the folks who created the country, allowed them to come here, and because they're not succeeding in whatever problem they have, they're blaming the whites for it when whites have nothing to do with it. You do agree with me that's insanity, right?
So I wouldn't use the word insanity.
How about crazy?
I wouldn't use the word crazy either.
How about mentally ill?
Yeah, so those are the words I don't want to use.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
How about not having common sense?
Yeah. For right now, you're seeing how this country is evolving and dealing with these race relation issues.
Right.
It's not going away. It hasn't gone away.
And you know why, right? Because it's an illusion. It's not a race relation situation. It's a lack of moral character. It's the destruction of the family. So the identity politics folks who are complaining, those are low-life people. You know, they're trifling. They are immoral. They have broken homes. And rather than deal with those issues, they're blaming it on so-called white supremacy and white people. Do you believe there's white supremacy? I've noticed over the years that Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders don't tend to participate in politics. At least they're not doing it in a public way. Have you noticed that?
Well, so I have a biased opinion, right? Because I'm involved in politics. I'm involved in elections work.
Well, for the most part, we don't see that. And when they do come out, they tend to vote for the Democratic Party. They tend to be liberal, and I'm a little surprised by that because they seem to be family-oriented. They seem to be about business. Why would they be so liberal and Democrat?
You know, I can't say for certain. I mean, we don't have the research around that in particular. There are groups out there that do research on how Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are voting, but it really does depend on who you're talking to. I would say an Asian American in California may have different values than those in Texas. I think depending on, you know, where they're coming from, their experience here in the U.S.
I noticed that the Asians that I've seen, and I've spoken to other people about, when they do come out politically, they tend to be really mean.
Oh, no.
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't think I'm mean.
They seem humble and nice, but when they come out, they're mean.
Well, I mean, I can't say for certain. I mean, it's not a blanket. Like, I think you and I would agree. Like, there are other people who may look like us, but may have different values or a different philosophy of life, right? So, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm hoping that might not be for everyone that you've met.
Are you into identity politics? I noticed that we have that now in the country. We have the blacks, the Mexicans, the women, the radical homosexuals. Identity politics. Are you into that?
I'm not sure what you mean by are you into it, but what I do recognize is the beauty of America and the beauty of our diversity, right? There are different ways of approaching all the issues that we care about or how we get involved, but also looking at the history of our country and what communities may have been excluded, like, for example, as I said, the Asian American community, if it was the Japanese internment camps or if it was the Chinese Exclusion Act, you know,
but
our
those
ethnicity.
laws in the past are no longer there. You know, the Asian can get up and do what they want, the blacks can do what they want. Is it necessary to have identity politics today?
Well, say, for example, even being able to vote, right? So is it because I may come from a community that has limited English proficiency, meaning that English may not be my first language? Is that going to hinder me from participating in our election process, right? So what's fortunate here in California, because of the Federal Voting Rights Act, we are actually required to provide voting information in 9 different languages.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I think
so
that's
we can be able
wrong,
to learn
though.
about it.
I mean, when you move here to this country, English should become your first language so you can know what's going on. I think it's imposing upon the American citizens to how, when you look at the voter, the ballot, you got all these different languages. I have no idea what they're saying.
Lots of information.
That's not fair to me as an American citizen. Why don't they learn English when they come?
I think about my own grandparents when they came to this country. My grandfather was a mechanic, my grandmother worked at the Dole Cannery, and honestly, they just didn't have time. They tried to go to the English classes, but they had to work, they had to put food on the table, they were raising 5 kids, right? So when talking to my grandmother about why didn't she learn English, she said, I tried to go to class, I tried to find time to do it, but in the end it was easier for her to be able to continue on as she is and leave to her children, my mom and my aunts and uncles, to do the translations for them.
Do you agree with me that English should be the first language when they do come here? They should learn English and let that be the first language so they know what's going on?
For me, I actually think there's beauty in speaking a lot of different languages.
No, I mean, it's beauty, but
yeah,
but you need, whatever country you're living in, that should be your first.
Right, but technically this country, that was not the first language, right? You think about the native folks that were here. And so I think that it's and on us, there's a reason why in English, there's in our schools, the emphasis of learning a second language to contribute more to this community and to the society as a whole.
But English should be the first choice, though, right? First language.
I think it's dependent on the community and the family.
What's best for the family and the country? Is it best to have English as the first language for the family and the country? Is that best?
I can't say for certain. I would say that the native tongue, for whatever language is, that your family and your community can speak in, you should be able to hold on to that, because I don't want us to lose them.
You can hold on to that, but if you want to really progress, if you want to become one with with America, one nation under God, then English should be that, so you can blend together as one, right?
I don't know.
You don't know? Personally, do you know which one is best?
Well, I'm also, once again, I'm speaking from my own family's perspective, right? As well as for the community that we're a part of.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't want to lose that.
No, I'm not telling you to lose it, but make English first, because you're in a country where English is first. So make that first, and still hold on to whatever you're speaking prior to coming here. Yes?
No, I can't say for certain, no.
There's a lot of talk about race and color, especially on the Democratic side of the fence. Does that make sense? That they're always talking about race, color, and gender. Does that make sense that they're doing that?
The Democratic Party? So once again, we're a nonpartisan organization, so I can't say for certain between the Democrats and the Republicans. But I could say, as someone who lives in this country and values the people that may look like me, but also that don't look like me, that we should all have a say in how our country is being run.
But get rid of the color thing. No one cares about your color. No one cares about whether you're male or female. No one cares about if you're homosexual, who you're sleeping with. Let's just be normal people. You know what I mean?
I guess so. An ideal world, sure, we should be able to. We should be able to not think about those things. But I think the reality of what we're doing is the reality of what's happening in this country right now is there are communities that feel that they're not being heard, whether it's based off of their race or gender, their ethnicity, or their sexual orientation. So the beauty of our democracy, right, or the things that we should change in our democracy, we have a way to get involved, we have a way to speak up.
But the problem is those people who are into identity politics, it's a turnoff for normal people.
And how would you define normal?
People who have common sense.
Okay.
And because the identity politics folks don't have common sense, they're like in La La Land or something, and they're creating unnecessary problems because they lack common sense. Have you noticed that?
I'm not. I can't. I don't think that's this. I don't think we see eye to eye on that one. I don't know. I guess common sense depends on who you're talking to, and someone might see this as oh, this makes sense, right? But another person would be like, actually, no, that doesn't make sense.
Are you a Christian?
I was born a Christian.
So are you a Christian?
I'm not currently practicing, but I was born a Christian.
So are you a Christian?
I just said my answer, yeah.
But you said you're not practicing. That doesn't mean you're not one. Do you believe there is a God?
I believe in the higher being. So being able to have that choice and freedom is something that not only do I have, but everyone else here in this country.
Are your parents aware that you've fallen away from Christianity?
My parents, my father passed away when I was in college. My mother, she, we talk about religion every once in a while. She goes as often as she can when she's not working.
Oh,
yeah, she's still working very hard.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I read that you ran for Oakland City Council back in 2010.
I did.
And what was your purpose or mission at that time?
Yeah, so speaking of, being able to elect someone that looks like you or thinks like you or just even having a choice, I found that as someone who lived in the community, I didn't have a choice in who I wanted as my city council member, and having had hundreds of conversations, I mean, it was a months and months process, I was encouraged to be able to run. Yeah.
And you didn't win, right?
No, I
Oh.
didn't, but that's okay. If there was a third candidate running, ranked choice voting where you get to rank your candidates would have come into play. So that didn't happen.
So you call it ranked
Choice voting.
Meaning that
If all the first choice votes and you get someone who gets more than 50%, well, they've won. But if it's below 50%, the person who got last place gets eliminated, and all the people that supported that candidate, their votes then get transferred to their second choice.
No,
and that
I don't
process,
like that.
And that process continues until someone
That's
gets a
not
majority.
good.
Why is that not good?
Suppose I change my mind, I find out that, okay, the second choice, I find out that it's not a good person, I really don't want that. I want to be able to come back and make my mind up again.
So you want to come back a second time?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a setup.
What we
That
found
is
though
clearly-
is people don't
Democrats
come
up
back.
with that, or your organization?
No, actually, some academics came up with
Oh,
it. Yeah.
God, no wonder.
So the
Academics
idea,
are nutcases.
well, the idea
Have you
is,
noticed they're
well,
nutty?
that people aren't coming back for that second
So
election.
fine.
People aren't coming for the first election even.
Who made this decision? I don't remember voting for that.
Well, it's not here in Los Angeles.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
just
here in Los
up
Angeles.
north in Oakland and other places.
Yeah, so there are some cities around the country that do have it. And what we found
Really?
is 95% of the voters get one of their top choices elected versus people who are only in the majority all electing all the seats. You've got those both in the minority and the majority really having a say in who they want in office.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was happening.
Yeah, so in different places
No
around the
wonder
country.
we're losing our country.
Well, no, this isn't in place in all of the cities and states, right? It's only in
But
a
it's
dozen
coming
or so.
here. If it's in Oakland, it's coming here. Believe me. I'm sure you would agree with this.
Mm-hmm.
White Americans created the greatest country that has ever existed when they founded and created America. And then for some reason they decided, we're gonna let people of color come in. I still haven't figured that out, but they decided, we're gonna let people of color come into this great free nation. And then the people of color come here, and the first thing they do is attack white people.
Well,
They
so
accuse
let's take
them
a
of
step
being
back.
racist.
Let's take a
They
step
accuse
back.
them of hating. It's like inviting a family member into your home, and then they want to take over the home and they accuse you of being the bad guy. As a person who ran for office, your eyes are wide open as to what's going on. When you see people of color attacking and blaming the white folks who allowed them to come into their home, what do you think about that?
So let's take a step back though. In our history, you're talking about the founders, right?
Yes.
So even then, the founders, you're saying they let us into this country.
Right.
But in reality, actually you had slaves come into this country. So they worked for the founders and weren't paid for it, right? And abused, and a lot of exploitation that was happening. And so we're talking about those folks that came into this country, but also even for Asian Americans, the Chinese, railroad workers, they came into this country not because, the founders let them, or the people that were in leadership in this country
they
let
forced
them.
here?
They were forced here,
Who
right?
brought them here?
So just like the slaves, and you think about who built this country, and on the backs of who built this country, who built the White House, right? And the railroad tracks, right? It wasn't. We have to think about, critically, like what are these race relations now, but what were they like when our country was even founded? It was hard back then, and even now, if people didn't look like you, that you were seen as other.
But it's not the whites who are going after the people of color, it's the people of color who are going after the whites and complaining and falsely accusing them. So even if we did, and I do realize slavery happened here, but it happened everywhere. It happened all over the world, not just here. And America changed that. They realized that wasn't the right way to go, so they freed the slaves. They did the right thing. They corrected that mistake. And still, the people of color attacked the white people who freed them. Instead of showing appreciation, they're calling them racist, Nazis, and all kind of crazy stuff. Isn't that like insane to attack the person who gave you freedom?
Well, so it's not uniform for everyone, right? There might be some socially conscious folks out there who understand those dynamics, right?
Right.
But there are also instances where we can see the kind of deep-seated, structural issues that have made it so hard for people to be able to access education or health or housing, right? I mean, I'm not sure if you realize, but the redlining, or even black folks were not even allowed to own homes until really relatively recently.
Like 100 years ago.
No, even more recent than that.
The redlining came from the people who were complaining and blaming the white.
So when I take a step back and thinking about the work of Fair Vote and the Fair Representation Act, as I mentioned before,
Right.
and when we think about how district lines are drawn, it really should be taken out of the hands of the politicians and the elected officials, and it should be an independent body to decide.
So you do agree with me, though, that it's insane that the people of color are attacking and blaming the folks who created the country, allowed them to come here, and because they are not succeeding in whatever problem they have, they are blaming the whites for it when whites have nothing to do with it. You do agree with me that's insanity, right?
So I wouldn't use the word insanity.
How about crazy?
I wouldn't use the word crazy either.
How about mentally ill?
Yeah, so those are the words I don't want to use.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
How about not having common sense?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, it really depends on who you're talking to. I think you and I would probably disagree on this then, and speaking from a personal perspective.
Oh.
Yeah.
And why would you disagree? You've done well.
Yeah?
Yeah, why would you disagree?
No, I mean, honestly, it depends on who you're talking to, and I think for right now, you're seeing how this country is evolving and dealing with these race relation issues.
Right.
It's not going away. It hasn't gone away.
And you know why, right? Because it's an illusion. It's not a race relation situation. It's like a moral character. It's the destruction of the family. So the identity politics folks who are complaining, those are low-life people. They're trifling. They are immoral. They have broken homes. And rather than deal with those issues, they're blaming it on so-called white supremacy and white people. Do you believe there's white supremacy?
Well, I'm actually curious, do you believe in it?
No, not at all.
You don't think there's such thing as white supremacy?
No.
Okay.
Do you?
I think we're not going to get anywhere if you don't believe in that.
Why not? You may educate me. You may be able to cause me to see that it does exist. Do you believe that it exists?
When we went to World War, did you believe that happened? Like with Hitler and Nazism?
That did happen.
That did happen.
Right.
Okay.
We did go to war.
We did go to war,
right.
Yeah. And we tried to defend the people, right? We tried to make sure that Hitler's policies of only having white people as a nation was wrong. Now, looking at today, do you see that playing out at all?
Since white Americans have been accused for everything that the people of color have failed at, whites are starting to get fed up. They're starting to feel anger from being accused so much that they want to send these folks back to wherever they came from. And I don't blame them, because if you're in a country where you can do what you want, and because you're failing in life, you're going to blame me for it. It just doesn't seem right to me. It just doesn't seem right. Does it seem right to you?
But do you see that playing out right now? Like, you see a resurgence of Nazi folks who support Hitler's ideas and Nazis and white supremacy. Do you see that playing out right now?
I see a few white people who are saying that, but majority are not. I see where they're fighting back, because you have the Antifa, and have you noticed the angry people on the left, while pretending it's the whites or someone else, like Antifa, they show up and they're dressed in masks, they're hiding who they are, but they're coming in a violent way. You have the Black Lives Matter people who are a far left, liberal, radical, agitated organization that's built of black lesbians and homosexuals and social justice warrior white folks. And that's just not fair to the decent white people. Do you think that's fair?
So I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
The KKK.
I'm trying to understand your words. So you're saying that they're too radical, that they can't be who they are,
right?
And you're comparing them to, say, the Nazis?
You have these fallen people accusing white people of something they've never done.
But they believe in the same principles of, say, Hitler.
But Well, you're right. I realize that Black Lives Matter and Antifa, they do believe in the same principles as Hitler.
Oh,
But
you think they believe in the same thing? So I'm
I
saying
thought
that.
you just said that.
No, no, no. I'm saying that the folks that are out on the streets right now, marching around.
Like the Antifa people?
No, about white supremacy and, you know, supporting the principles of Hitler.
I agree with you that Black Lives Matter, Antifa, the liberal media are promoting hatred toward white people, but I don't see it the other way around. Are you saying that it's the Black Lives Matter people and the media who are doing that to the whites?
No, I'm trying to understand what you're saying, that you're saying that those folks, that they are actually not as bad as, say, people who support Black Lives Matter.
Well, anyone who supports Black Lives Matter is an evil person.
Okay, but so you don't believe that Black lives do matter, though?
I don't believe that.
As a Black man, you don't believe that your life is just as important as, say, a white person?
No, I believe that life matters, but it's the individual responsibility to have the life that they want. It's no one else's responsibility. And so Black people have failed at, not all but most, having a life that they want, and in that fallen state, they're blaming white people for that, and that's not right.